But yeah, this is going to be, I feel like, a bit of a closer series here. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have the Swedish Protoss player representing Team Little Fairy. It is FightingFrog. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Babylon, we have his opponent, the French Zerg player representing Berserker Esports. It is SoulSpirit. Vámonos, papi, vámonos. SoulSpirit is a player who, again, we mentioned it last week, he hasn't been as active as he used to be. You know, we've seen him in years past be a part of the group stage of DreamHack before, of DreamHack Valencia, or the DreamHack European group stage even. But recently, he's been a little bit less active. Of course, he's a young player, and I'm sure he's focusing a lot more on his studies, but it's great to see him performing here once again. If you remember, last week, Eba and SoulSpirit were like having a little bit of banter in the in-game chat, and yeah, SoulSpirit was talking about how like he had come back to ladder and practice for like a week beforehand or something like that just to prepare. So great to see him return. As his opponent is another one of these players who has a really interesting backstory, I feel, or current story even. I mentioned it earlier, but he is representing Team Little Fairy, which did participate in World Team League. Like, interestingly enough, FightingFrog, he's the only European player that's a part of that team. And I remember Asher giving a little bit of insight. Apparently, he's friends with Cyan. I think it was Cyan, not Maxed. And they personally know each other, and maybe FightingFrog is actually fluent in Mandarin or in Chinese. And because of these like really interesting connections, FightingFrog has found himself on a team that I don't think many people really expected him to be on. So yeah, it's really cool to see these kind of interesting connections and these friendships kind of come to fruition. And yeah, it's really unique, really unique. Oh. But here we go, we are getting into this. So far, Hatchgas full opener here from our Zerg player. Unfortunately for FightingFrog, SoulSpirit was able to expand and take the natural. Wasn't here in time to block and deny that hatchery. So pretty standard opener overall here from our Zerg. From the side of our Protoss, you know, gate expand. We do see a Stargate as a follow-up as well. So everything's looking quite normal as well. We haven't been able to cast too much of FightingFrog. We did cast him during the WTL matches, of course, during the qualifiers. But again, I want to see more of what he's made of. I want to see what his tendencies are here in PvZ, because I don't get to cast enough of FightingFrog. Smarriage, papi, smarriage. I want to, papi, I want to. So, yeah, we do have that Stargate opener. The Adepts just across the map, just shading, threatening, just scouting a little bit here and there. We shouldn't really see a commitment into the shade. We don't want to be throwing away our first Adept or anything like that. So he's just going to be doing his best to get whatever scouting information he can. From here, of course, FightingFrog is opening up Oracle. So still everything looking quite standard here. If I recall correctly, because I believe we did cast FightingFrog in a PvZ, we may have casted him against Cham during the qualifiers. I can't quite remember the specifics, but I do recall FightingFrog playing pretty standard, because I was posing the same questions. I was like, mate, I haven't casted FightingFrog in years. What is he looking like right now? Has he been keeping up with the current meta? And I'm pretty sure the answer was yes. I'm pretty sure he did go triple Oracle into +1 charge, which is like all the craze nowadays. So it's cool to see, but again, he's an active player. Links that go across the map. Ooh, the SimCity not quite there. Almost punishing that Adept, but for the time being, looks like the third base is going to be safe. Ooh, he even forces the Oracle to turn around. Very nice here from SoulSpirit. It was a very light commitment, only 4 or so Lings hitting this third, but it is going to be keeping FightingFrog on the back foot for at least a little bit here, keeping these Oracles at home, and this is going to allow SoulSpirit to actually prepare for them, get more Queens, and get his Spores up and running. For the time being, we only have 1 Spore at the natural. We're relying on Queens instead to defend the main and the third base. But now we have 2 Oracles. We have that one-shot potential. SoulSpirit has to be careful. He has to do his best here to keep up with these Oracles. For now, he's going to be able to push them away. The Oracle's dipping in towards the natural, but that's where the Spore is. And they are being zoned away. At the same time, the Oracle is, the Overlord in the main base scouts a Phoenix. What? Wait, what? we have a Phoenix from FightingFrog. So he didn't go triple Oracle. He went 2 Oracles straight into that Phoenix instead, which means he's going to have less to support his Stalkers. He's going to have less Pulsar Beam and less overall energy available to support his army. But instead he's going to be looking to, yeah, maybe even CC some Queens and get some damage done. Oh my god. And here we go, 4 drones, 4.5 drones already going to be going down. Not too bad. And we're going all over the place. So yeah, this is not quite the hero style. We have 1 less Oracle, we have a Phoenix instead. We are going into Blink. We delayed Forge, by the way. And now that we do have the Forge on the way, we're also going for a Dark Shrine at the same time. FightingFrog with his own kind of take on this. Okay. This is going to get kind of scary. I mean, he's already across the map with only a handful of units here, applying some pressure to the 4th base. For the time being, we actually don't really have too much on the ground for SoulSpirit. He's going to be rotating over with his Queens and with his reinforcing Roaches. He's going to force the army back. He's going to be able to hold on to that 4th. But again, this Dark Shrine is really out of left field. Oh boy. Well, now that the Stalkers have revealed themselves, SoulSpirit should be able to piece together that, yes, he should be investing in Lings, and there we go, +1 melee is on the way. Roaches are more of a supportive unit. A lot of this army has to be reliant on Ling Bane to be able to deal with all those Stalkers. But I think that's why the DTs are going to do so well for themselves. Whether they're DTs or even Archons, I think that they are going to excel here. Meanwhile, behind this, again, a Robotics Bay on the way as well. FightingFrog is going to be delaying his 4th in favor of Tech. It's a bit of a risky move because SoulSpirit is going to be able to skyrocket ahead economically once he does saturate his 4th. But FightingFrog is just going to be approaching this in a very safe manner overall. Very defensive play. I mean, we already have Immortals on the way to help defend against the Roaches. Now that the Bay is done, we can go into Colossus production to help with the Lings or even Disruptors. The world is FightingFrog's oyster. There we go. The first 4 DTs are warped in. Do we have any detection at the 4th? It's pretty low. Do we have any? No, we don't. The base is going to go down. Up! Oh my god, he almost gets stuck here, but there is no way for this hatchery to be saved. And this is huge. This is going to knock down the Zerg player to even bases with the Protoss, which is something you never want to be seeing. Ay, ay, ay. The DT hit squad more than paying for itself. Every single DT survives as well, and we have a revelation on the army. This move made it looks like it's forcing SoulSpirit all in. He is cutting drones here at 61. He's going for a massive Ling Roach Queen push, but he's going to have so much less lava to work with. Oh boy, here we go. FightingFrog is fully aware of the all-in. He's trying to prepare back at home. We have Immortals on the way. We have Archons as well. The first Colossus is still in production. But where are the shield batteries? Where is the overcharge? The Lings are trying to get into the mineral line. Biles are zoning away the army. Oh, 1 shield battery goes down. We only have 1 remaining here at this base. The Oracles are doing honestly quite a lot to clean up all these Lings, but the Roach Ravager is slowly pushing forward. But because of the choke point, because of the Sim City, these Immortals have been doing so much. The Biles, oh, not quite going to connect. But we don't have a Prism. We can't micro the Immortal. There's that overcharge. Is going to top up those units. And FightingFrog is forcing SoulSpirit back. Oh no. But he overextends a little bit. We'll lose one of those Oracles. Colossus is rocking up. Oh, without additional shield batteries, I don't really know if we have enough here for FightingFrog. Oh god. Has to be careful not to let go of his Immortal. Back across the map, SoulSpirit is droning. He's trying to recover. He's trying to reestablish his 4th and resaturate it as well. Well, we'll see if he can pull it off. FightingFrog is still also working with 1 Robo, so we can only make 1 unit. Sorry, he's working with 2 Robos. He's making an Immortal and a Disruptor at a time. I feel like we need double Disruptor production, but regardless, we now have 2 Disruptors. And with 2 Disruptors, I don't know if... Oh, God. I don't know if SoulSpirit can ever really push in. Another Nova's going to go up. Oh, and it does connect with the Roach Ravager army. Ay, ay, ay. The Lings are doing a lot of damage, to be fair. But with this overcharge, it's not going to be enough. At the same time, though, while FightingFrog was distracted, we had a massive Ling run by into the main and into the natural base. Even though SoulSpirit couldn't break the third, and I don't think he ever really could, he doesn't need to. Instead, he goes to the run bys, 14 probes go down, and now SoulSpirit has a massive advantage. He has his fourth base, it's saturated. FightingFrog can barely hold on to his 3-base economy. This Ling run by is what's making the game happen here for SoulSpirit. Without it, he would have been up against the ropes. It would have been a tough ask for him to be able to break any of these bases. But he is now in the driver's seat. Behind us, we have an infestation pit to go into a hive and go into swarm host if we so choose. Probably just for a hive, just for vipers. And vipers will shut down all these high-tech units. Oh, oof. Another good Nova for FightingFrog. And if he can get another couple of these Novas, then maybe he can turn this around. Oh god! Ooh. They're so juicy, but the target fire is pretty good as well. And despite the fact that we're getting these great purification Novas, we're also losing disruptors. And we can't afford to lose disruptors right now. We just don't really have the resources to. We can't even make 2 units at a time here from these robos. SoulSpirit just coming back in, keeping the pressure up, and just keeping FightingFrog contained to 3 bases. Oh! Oh my god! This Nova only getting 2 Ravagers this time. But again, there was only 1 Disruptor. The DT is actually doing a surprising amount of damage. No detection available here for SoulSpirit. Oh, he just keeps going for the run-bys. Is there a world where FightingFrog can just turtle up, slowly take a 4th base, and come back in this game? Yes, but that's only if SoulSpirit doesn't get a hive. He has the infestation pit. Where's that hive? Like, the hive will just straight up kills him. The hive with vipers, we yoink the disruptors, we yoink the Colossus, and SoulSpirit can aim move from there. But he's tunnel visioning a little bit here. We still don't have that hive. Because of that, FightingFrog doesn't have a big chance, but he still has a chance. He still can technically take a fight. There we go. Hive just now starting. It's late, but it is on the way. Because it's late, again, there is a window here where FightingFrog can trade a little bit more efficiently. He's looking to try and fight this army. Nova's going to be going off. Ooh. Shaving off a decent chunk of the Roach Ravager. At the same time, we have a bathing run by no god! 5 probes go down. FightingFrog still struggling to hold on to his bases, and now he is going all in. He's had enough. He's pushing out across the map. At the same time, SoulSpirit is going for a run by. Oh. FightingFrog, he has to commit. He has to work on this. Like, there is no other way to pull this off. 1 big push is all he has. And SoulSpirit has been able to buy some time. He's making more Ling Bane Roach Ravager. Novas are going to be going up, but can they connect? It looks like only 1 will. As SoulSpirit stutter steps on forward, focusing out as many of these Archons as possible. Those Immortals are doing a lot of damage. Oh my god. And another Nova is going to connect. The supplies are getting very close here. The desperation of FightingFrog is showing, and you know what? He's doing a lot with it. He breaks the 5th, he's breaking the 4th, he keeps on pushing, he can't waste his time on these hatcheries, he's got to keep going, he has to get on top of the production, he has to break the natural. Ooh, a little bit of friendly fire from those Novas, from those Ravager Biles. Reinforcements are trickling in. What? Slow and steady, mate. FightingFrog, he's going to get this hatchery, and again, he has to keep on pushing. Oh, it looks like he's backing off, and he's going to be getting this fringe base here. I don't know how I feel about this. At the same time, though, SoulSpirit is actually trading right now. He keeps engaging with the Immortal Army, and I feel like this is too soon. Oh, but he gets the last Disruptor. FightingFrog's army is getting weaker and weaker by the minute. Oh god, but we're too ambitious here. GG gets called, and FightingFrog, he was up against the wall. He was stuck on 3 bases, but 3 bases, mate, it's all you need. GG. FightingFrog takes game number 1. SoulSpirit had so much control of that game. You know, he was containing his opponent. He was going for all these Ling run-bys, Bailing run-bys as well. But he was tunnel visioning a little bit too much. Not just that, when FightingFrog was forced all in and when he started pushing out across the map, SoulSpirit had to take it slow. He was very eager to take fights when really he could have just backed off, evacuated bases, and just let his opponent kill a hatchery or two and just bank up and maybe set up with a surround and just, again, just calm down. Because it's his opponent that has all the pressure on them, and it's the Zerg player that can just take his time defending and just going for his injects and maxing out and making more units. So yeah, SoulSpirit, he was very eager to fight when maybe he shouldn't have. Oh. And with that, mate, we have a series. The comeback was real. And this is what I was looking forward to. You know, the last series was a little bit more one-sided, but this one is going to be much closer. And we are getting into game number 2. It is going to be on Dragon Scales. Oh. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Swedish Protoss representing Team Little Fairy, the man who just will not die. It is FightingFrog. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have his opponent. We have the French Zerg player representing Berserker Esports, currently down in the series, but it's a best of 5. We got plenty of games ahead of us. It is SoulSpirit. I see in the chat, the frog is fighting. The frog was fighting. Oh my god, the frog was fighting for his life, mate. And again, FightingFrog, he was forced all in. His economy was crippled, like he was battered, he was bruised, but he had some fight in him. He did it for himself, for his team, for the Protoss out there. And SoulSpirit, hopefully his mental is okay. SoulSpirit is a bit of a younger player. He isn't as experienced as some of these other players like FightingFrog. And for certain, SoulSpirit knows how far ahead he was that game. He knows, like, oh, I had the economy, I had the bases, I had the tech, I had everything. And it slipped away. It just slipped away, and hopefully that doesn't impact him too much here. Hopefully SoulSpirit is able to shake it off as the series will progress. Oh. But yeah, shout out to FightingFrog. Just relentless. The tenacity here from this Protoss player. Not giving up. And it paying off. I was on the verge of saying he was on copium. I was gonna be like, I was casting a Terran and be like, mate, he's fueled by copium right now, but there's a chance because of disruptors. And you know what? He pulled it off. It's amazing. But now we're getting into game number 2, and for the time being, once again, pretty standard openers. Hatch gas pool here from the Zerg. FightingFrog, interestingly enough, is going for a faster Zealot here, actually. I guess just for safety. I'll be surprised if he actually lets this finish, to be honest. So we have our gate expand being set up from FightingFrog. Ling's just moving out just to scout, just to look around. But yeah, I'm a little bit curious here as to the openers. I guess the Zealot kind of makes sense because we are rushing out this Stargate. The Stargate prioritized very heavily. It's already on the way. Very fast Stargate. This is crazy. And this is going to get scouted. All right. Interesting. So I wonder what the plan is here from FightingFrog, and how will SoulSpirit respond, as the Stargate is almost done here by the 3-minute mark. It's crazy how fast this is. I think FightingFrog wanted to try and deny the scout, and that's why he prioritized this Zealots of all things, but alas, didn't really work out for him in the end. Queen production continuing here, and it is going to be a Void Ray first from FightingFrog. Okay, so I assumed that something like this would happen just because of how fast the Stargate was. I guess one way would have been to go for a faster Oracle just to prioritize economic damage, But with this, he's going to be keeping SoulSpirit in the dark. He's going to be focusing down this Overlord. And yeah, there it is. Double Stargate. Oh my god. It's 2023. What year are you living in? He's living in 2021, mate. And you know what? Protoss was doing pretty well back then. Double Stargate Void Ray production. Let's go. Let's go. We're playing like it's 2021. Pre-nerf of this build. Oh my god. Actually, going for a more modern variation. He's not making more Void Rays. He's going into Phoenix production. Take me for a ride, FightingFrog. I want to know where we go. I'm excited. Ay, ay, ay. So he's being very cheeky here with his build. Again, you know, the opener itself was very suspect, and SoulSpirit has got to be wondering what the hell is going on. He knows about the Void Ray at least, and he's going to be preparing. Spores are finishing up. We have a very fast, or relatively fast layer as well on the way. We're taking our gases. That's a lot of gases as well. So from here, we can tech into a Hydroden or a Spire. All 4 gases are being taken. I imagine it's going to be Hydroden, especially because we don't have any Evo chambers. Oh, as a 6th gas is taken. Sorry, 5th gas even. And we should be seeing that texture structure thrown down as soon as the layer is done. We have a Bailey Nest, and there's the Hydroden. And I do think that this is a good response. I don't know what is the tell here from SoulSpirit. I don't know what is tipping him off. Maybe it's the Zealot and the Void Ray, but SoulSpirit is preparing himself for Void Ray production. And he's going to be going for a pretty strong timing as well. Lings are going to be coming out to try and deny this third base. The Phoenixes haven't been revealed yet, but they're about to. And hey, Hydras, they shoot up as well. They're not a bad choice here against all these Phoenixes. Here we go. Phoenixes are making their way across the map. There's no Spore at the third. These Queens are looking a little bit vulnerable here, and it looks like some of them are going to get picked off. Oh, 1 Queen goes down. 2nd Queen as well. Again, no Spore whatsoever. Ay, ay, ay. SoulSpirit was not expecting these Phoenixes. If it was Void Rays, the Queens would have been able to defend. Meanwhile, the Lings go for a massive counterattack, but we have a Void Ray back at home to clean them up. 1 Phoenix is going to be going down. The Hydras have been revealed. And SoulSpirit, I'm pretty sure he's done droning. He's going... I'm pretty sure he wants to work on this push, on this Ling Hydra timing. Very Miyamika-esque, and here we go. We're rushing across the map. One way or another, the game is about to end. Whether it's FightingFrog somehow holding on, I don't think he can, though. Phoenix is... What are they going to do here? What, pick up individual Hydras? That's just not going to happen. Here we go. SoulSpirit rushing across the map with his Ling Bane Hydra. We do have an overcharge. We're going to try and hold here. We have to. But the Bailings rolling in. The ground army for the Protoss will evaporate. Oh my god. The Phoenixes actually do pick up all the Hydras. Okay. I didn't believe. I guess they do just pick everything up. And FightingFrog holds. Oh, these Bailings. Wow. I'm afraid to look. That was 13 Hydras. 13 Hydras go down to these Phoenixes. That is a very expensive loss. The first push is the scariest, and now SoulSpirit is forced to drone. He's droning right now. He's still making Hydras, because if he doesn't, he dies, but FightingFrog has the momentum. Ay, ay, ay. And, yeah. I do think, again, I do think that SoulSpirit misread the situation a little bit. Like, all the Bailings that he morphed in, I feel like they could have just been more Hydras. I feel like Hydras are just, they're just what we needed, and, the Phoenixes are across the map. They're just eviscerating the economy here, but at the same time, the Phoenixes are needed back at home. The Bailings are whirling in. The mineral line is going to be going down. 13 probes full, and this third base is going to crumble. These Phoenixes, we needed you back at home. Without them, we can't defend against those Hydras. So SoulSpirit is still in this. If FightingFrog was able to hold on to this base a second time, then it'd be a different story. But now that the third base has fallen, as well as all those workers, SoulSpirit has been able to recover. We have a 4th base on the way, upgrades as well, Evo Chamber, Mailing Speed, Hydra Speed. It's all coming. I can't write Fighting Frog off though, because we saw what happened in game 1. You know, we saw the impossible happen. We saw him come back from like a 50 supply deficit. And with Colossi production, he can do it again. Alas, Lingbane Hydra has one big weakness, and that is that it is all light units. Whether it's Storm, whether it's Colossus, both forms of splash damage just melt this army. There's not that much of it though. There's only a single Colossus, so there is a window here where SoulSpirit can abuse the Protoss army. Meanwhile, once again, the Phoenixes are not at home. A little bit unlucky for Fighting Frog. He's just never where he needs to be with those Phoenixes. We're pushing on forward here. Nice force fields from these sentries, but the Lings bust into the main. Oh, the Banelings! Up! Oh my god, Baneling speed finishes on up, and these sentries are going to be going down. Oh, they somehow survive, but the Hydras push on forward. Overcharge is not going to be enough to keep this Colossi alive, or is it? Is it? Oh my god, oh my god. The overcharge kept the Colossus alive. But I can't say the same about the workers. Those Lings, they were the MVPs of that fight here. The Lings took down 17 probes. Fighting Frog took the fight, but his economy is in shambles. He has half the worker count of his opponent. But we did keep both Colossus alive. This game is getting weird. It's getting weird. Oh no, the workers. Meanwhile, the Phoenixes are still looking strong here. They're going to be able to punish the 4th base. No spores whatsoever. 6 more drones go down. Very crucial here for Fighting Frog to deal some counter economic damage. And I still can't really call this. Like, SoulSpirit, he's up economically, he's got his upgrades, but he's still stuck on Lingbane Hydra. And if we get a 3rd Colossus, like, we're gonna be okay. Fighting Frog is gonna be okay. Hey, 3 Colossus, that's all you need. Ooh. It's a couple more Hydras getting picked up as well. Fighting Frog just getting whatever value he can from these Phoenixes. Oh, almost gets a 3rd Hydra, I mean. Meanwhile, we haven't had a Colossus produced in a while, and that's where I'm a little bit concerned here. There we go. 3rd Colossus is on the way. Fighting Frog getting his 3rd base saturated as well, just focusing a little bit more on his Phoenix control, keeping SoulSpirit busy. Up. And we have a game. For the most part, we do have a game. Likewise, just like the last game, the thing that SoulSpirit is missing here, and he does have the room to throw down an infestation pit. Get a pit, get a hive, get some vipers, and then we shut down the Colossi. It's going to be a little bit harder this game because you have to babysit the vipers, because if you leave them alone, then the Phoenixes will punish you and they will reset the viper count. But if we're able to keep the vipers together with these Hydras, then it will be a checkmate move. Without vipers, Fighting Frog can take a fight, even if he's down in supply. Because we don't just have Colossus, we have Disruptors as well. Oh boy. So, yeah, I'm a little bit stressed out here, and I'm a little bit worried for SoulSpirit. Like, he had an advantage. That advantage isn't as large as it once was. It's slowly slipping away. There we go. We have an infestation pit being thrown down now. Relatively late, but it's on the way regardless. So he will eventually have access to a hive and then vipers, but it takes a long time. It's a long road to vipers. And here we go. Fighting Frog is starting to move out. He's going to be clearing out this creep here in the middle of the map. Oh! Ooh, one of his Phoenix does get caught out as well. Not bad. Not bad at all from SoulSpirit. Oh, but we're getting every form of splash damage. Jesus Christ. We don't just have Colossus, we don't just have Disruptors, we're also getting High Templar and Storm. And if we're able to get to Storm, then suddenly Vipers are not the answer anymore, because the Vipers can be feedbacked. And Storms don't give a damn about your abducts. You can abduct a High Templar and it'll still storm you in the face. It's while mid-air as well. It's crazy. And there we go. The High Templar are gathering that energy. Fighting Frog's army is going to be complicated to It's going to be really complicated to control, though, to be fair. We have Phoenixes that need to pick up units. We have Disruptors that need to get their Novas off. We have High Templar that need to feedback, or Storm at the moment for the time being. There's a lot for the Protoss to do, and we also have Sentries for Force Fields. It may be a little bit too much. We'll see as SoulSpirit is looking to push in. Does reveal his army. FightingFrog gonna rotate on over. As it looks like SoulSpirit is getting ready to transition into Hydra Lurker Viper. Here we go. The army does posture, and it looks like an opening has been created here. The right-hand base is not going to get up and running. Up. There we go. We do have a cancel. We just have an overwhelming amount of Ling Bane, and FightingFrog doesn't really have the supply to split up and successfully defend in 2 places at once. Oh boy. So he's going to be forced to take a fourth here on the left-hand side instead. Has to bide his time, slowly just get that big death ball going. Meanwhile, Lurker Den is done. God, that's so many Banelings. At a certain point, I feel like SoulSpirit should just send his Banelings in. I mean, he's maxed out. But we do have those Lurkers. We do have the Hive done. Lurker upgrades are on the way. Still no Vipers, but I mentioned it earlier, because we have High Templar now, Vipers may not necessarily be what you want. They're still pretty crucial though. Like, Hydra Lurker Viper is a composition for a reason. Vipers do complement these units very well. Again, we have Lurkers that are more of a siege unit, and the Vipers just help these high-tech units come to the Lurkers and come within range. The upgrades are not looking too bad though here from SoulSpirit. We already have Adrenal on the way. We're working on +1, or +1 melee at least. Rough time for +1 melee, but it's on the way. So the armies are being spotted. FightingFrog is in a really awkward position, but he is going to be here just in time for the Ling Bane as it comes in towards his third. Oh, here we go. Show us the force fields. Oh, do we have detection? Oh, we don't have detection. Novas are going to be going off, and they will find the connections. Oh my god. Storms blanket the army as well. FightingFrog taking a good fight overall, but he's going to be losing his 4th base. At the same time, we have a massive Zealot Warping in the main base of SoulSpirit, and he is losing his economy. Yeah, the entire army is forced to come back home, so FightingFrog may have lost the base, but so did SoulSpirit, and he doesn't really have the drones to spare. The Lurkers! 1 Lurker goes down, a second, a third? SoulSpirit miscontrolling his army a little bit distracted here on the front lines. And he's crumbling a little bit. Once again, SoulSpirit had the map control. Up until a certain point, he was in control of this game. But now FightingFrog has the army supply lead. He kept his Archons alive, his Colossus, his High Templar, his Storm. Almost nothing died. He just lost the base. FightingFrog traded so efficiently, and now he's going to be moving out across the map, and this time he has detection. This time he has an observer. I think SoulSpirit has to go for the base trade. I don't think he can fight this, and I think he knows it. Yeah, he's avoiding the army. He knows that he cannot engage. The army does get spotted by the observer, and FightingFrog has to make a choice. Does he keep going for the base trade, or does he turn around? And it looks like he's turning around. Aye. SoulSpirit doesn't find a way in. Oh, he's going to be losing a Lurker in the retreat. 2 Lurkers go down. SoulSpirit didn't commit, and now FightingFrog has map control. Another Lurker falls. How many Lurkers do we have left? We have 6. That's not a lot. That's not a lot of Lurkers, papi. At the same time, we have a Zealot warp into the main base. I mean, FightingFrog has to lose supply to warp in, though. He doesn't really have... He's maxed out right now. Ugh. See a Ling run by being set up, but it's being caught out by the army. Oh my god. Oh, it's a meat grinder. So many Lings go down. The Zealots in the main are finally getting cleaned up. FightingFrog is still on 3 bases, by the way. He's running out of money. He's running out of mineral patches. But I don't think he needs a 4th. He can just keep pushing. The Novas connect. 3 more Lurkers go down. Oh my god. 4 Lurkers and a Storm. Fighting for SoulSpirit, he can't fight this. Not anymore. He's being pulled apart. He's doing a great job at containing his opponent, but he doesn't understand that Protoss don't need 4 bases. We have a revelation. 4 more Lunkers go down. Ooh, these 4 Lurkers here towards the north are doing a lot of damage, but the Novas are going to make short work of them. Oh my god, the Lurkers actually trading so well. Alright, here we go. Another Nova going off. A Storm as well. The Hydra army is melting. FightingFrog having a bit of a rough trade overall, but he goes for a massive warping back at home. He's coming to reinforce. Oh. Do we have an observer? No. Oh, wait, no, we do. Oh, we have a couple of Azurs. None with the army, though, unfortunately, but we don't need it. Here we go. More Storms are going to just blanket the Hydra army here. Oh, my god. The Storms are brutal. The detection is here with the main army. And these Lurkers are not going to be enough for SoulSpirit. FightingFrog takes game number 2. GG. The Frog is fighting. And with that, FightingFrog takes a 2-0 lead in this series. Wow. Oh my god. Like, I feel like SoulSpirit's mid game is really solid. Like, once again, 2 games in a row, SoulSpirit is just keeping FightingFrog on 3 bases. He's, you know, going for these Ling run bys. He's killing probes. He killed the 3rd, if you remember, initially, with his Ling Bane Hydra. He was able to get a kill in the 3rd base. He snuck Lings into the main. He was in all the mineral lines. But I do think that his transition into a more refined army so far back-to-back has been a little bit delayed, and it hasn't been his main focus. Even this game, when we had a Hive, he was working on Adrenal, he was working on Lurker upgrades, he was getting Seismic Spines, he was getting Adapted Talons. He wasn't getting Vipers. In game 1 or game 2, it's not something that he really prioritized, and without them, trying to go Ling Bane Hydra into Lurker against ground toss like this, it's difficult. It's a difficult thing to do. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's not possible. It is possible, definitely, but it feels like he's making it hard for himself, and he's giving FightingFrog these opportunities to come back, and FightingFrog has just been controlling his army so well. I was talking about it earlier, about how difficult it is to have your force fields and your Phoenix Abducts or Phoenix CC, as well as your Disruptors and your Storms. It's difficult to kind of control all that at once, but this Protoss player is up to the task. And in the top left-hand corner, we have, representing Team Little Fairy, in the top left-hand corner of Neo Humanity, the Swedish Protoss, it is FightingFrog. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Neo Humanity, we have his opponent, the French Zerg player, currently down 0-2 in this series, representing Berserker Esports. It is SoulSpirit. Oh, my Zerg heart, it bleeds for SoulSpirit. Like, it does feel demoralizing when you're like ahead 2 bases, when you're ahead economically, when you're maxed out, you know, you keep denying the 4th over and over and over again, but you just can't kill the Protoss. You just can't finish it. And yeah, it can get into your head a little bit, because that was kind of the story of both game 1 and game 2 so far. Like, done differently for sure. You know, we had different a kind of a different road into the mid game and a different road into the end of the game as well, but overall very similar themes going through those games. And I wonder what SoulSpirit has in store for us here in game 3. We are on a smaller map, we are on Neo Humanity. This can kind of lean towards favoring Roach pushes, Roach Queen pushes specifically, just because of how short the rush distance is. You can bust through these rocks, you can set up an Overlord highway, like a creep highway with Overlords, and just all in off of like 50 workers. It's definitely possible. And we've seen it time and time again. We've seen it from Raynor, we've seen it from Serral, we've seen it from Dark, from these top Zerg players in this matchup. Are we going to see it from SoulSpirit? Because clearly, going into longer games, it's not working out for SoulSpirit. We'll see. As once again, we have a Hashgas pool opener from our Zerg player. Everything's looking pretty standard, pretty normal. Likewise, FightingFrog goes for a gate expand. This time, his Stargate again at a reasonable time here. We have our Adept coming out as well. This should be for an Oracle opener. It should be, you know, double Oracle into a relatively fast third. It's looking to be quite economic from our Protoss player. Oh. Alright, well, here we go. At least thankfully, once again, SoulSpirit was able to get his natural. You know, it's something you don't see too often in this matchup. More often than not, the Protoss player is kind of wreaking havoc early on and making things a little bit awkward for the Zerg. And, oh, I'm going to have to eat my words. I assumed it was going to be an Oracle opener, but no. Once again, we have a Phoenix. I say once again. Last game, we did have a commitment into Phoenixes, but last game we started with a Void Ray, if you remember. So we are approaching this a little bit differently. It's going to be Phoenix first. We're going to be clearing out this vision. Ooh, this is going to supply block SoulSpirit. And behind this, we're going into an Oracle. So the Oracle is going to be delayed, but even though it's delayed, it's going to be unexpected because of the Phoenix. So, you know, it may be a little bit slower, but the idea here is that SoulSpirit won't be in position with his queens, and he won't have any spores. As the Links of SoulSpirit are just being a little bit annoying here, just having control. Never mind. Having control of this third base location, the Oracle is revealed. So SoulSpirit is fully aware that there's an Oracle protecting this third. And then he has to be a little bit careful. There we go. Spores are on the way. From here, though, we're going back into Phoenixes. Mate. He's like, he's trying to juke us. He's going left. He's going right. Where's he going? We don't know. I don't know. So Phoenix Oracle back into Phoenix. This is supposed to catch SoulSpirit off guard once again. He's going to be banking and keeping his Phoenixes in his main, at least until we hit that critical mass, that nice juicy around 5 to 6 Phoenixes, and then we'll be moving out. Looking to pick off some queens, looking to do some damage. Oh. Actually, we're moving out with 3 Phoenixes here instead, so a little bit earlier. With this, the Phoenixes can CC the queens, and then the Oracle can focus down workers, but we'll see how this goes here as it's not really going to come together. Oof. As we had 4 queens in position, and that is a lot of wasted energy from FightingFrog. I appreciate the move he was trying to go for. Hero does it. Hero, every now and then, Hero opens up with a couple of Phoenixes, and he does it just to overwhelm and just to shut down the third base by killing the queens and going ham with his oracles. But FightingFrog not quite able to pull it off. Oh, meanwhile, we're also taking in a really weird direction as well. So we have Phoenixes for map control, and we're going straight into a robotics bay. I don't know if I like... So this is really defensive from FightingFrog. With this, he's going to be able to rush into Colossus and Disruptors. He's already got an Immortal on the way. But the downside is that he's not going to have any gateway upgrades. He's not going to have Charge, and he's not going to have Blink, which means he doesn't really have too many ways to really kind of assert himself on the map. We do have Blink and +1 on the way now, but this is delayed. This is very delayed in favor of the Bay. Oh. And as a result, FightingFrog is just kind of stuck here at home for a while. He has to just give up control. He's letting SoulSpirit drone take another base. This is a fast infestation pit. Yo. Are we crazy enough to go into Swarm Hosts? Show me the hell muffins. Show me the hell muffins. Show them to me. No, he's going straight for a hive. Oh my god. Okay. I'm curious. This is the fastest hive we've had the entire season. This is a giga fast like hive, by the way. The fastest hive you've ever seen. Tonight, even. Are we going straight into Vipers? I'm excited. Has SoulSpirit recognized what he's been missing these past couple of games? Are we just gonna rush Vipers? Or is this for Lurkers? We have a Hydra Den. We could throw down the Lurker Den technically if we really wanted to. Nah, it's gotta be for Vipers. Isn't it? Yeah. Oh god. And this is a great counter because FightingFrog is rushing into these high-tech units. He's rushing into Disruptors, rushing into Colossi. He is sacrificing so much to rush out these Robo units, and Vipers will completely just cancel them out and take away any advantage that he would otherwise have. But we'll see. No, I've been fooled before, and we do have a Lurker Den on the way. Oh, let's go! Let's go, Bobby. Oh, shout out to SoulSpirit, mate. He recognizes what he's been missing. He took a moment to think. He's like, oh, I keep dying to disrupt a Colossus. What do I do? What do I have? Oh, the Viper. Let's go. 4 Vipers are on the way. They're going to be slowly gathering energy. SoulSpirit still has to be careful, though, because we have Phoenixes, right? If oh my god. So if at any moment FightingFrog is able to catch these Vipers with his Phoenixes, then it's going to be over. You know, like SoulSpirit has to babysit these Vipers so very closely. He cannot let them stray too far away. Oh. As SoulSpirit is getting fully saturated on his 4 bases, we do see FightingFrog taking a 4th of his own as he's just, again, focusing on refining his army. Disruptor, Colossus, Storm as well. High Templar are a way to counteract the abilities of Vipers. But I will still be favoring SoulSpirit, as SoulSpirit has maxed out. So I mean, I feel like the macro of SoulSpirit throughout all of these games has been pretty solid. You know, his ability to expand and to drone up and to find room to tech up as well. He's just been missing that one key ingredient every one of these games. And we've got it, mate. We've got it. Oh. Now, will it make a difference? Is it going to be one of those things where, you know, we've been raving about the Viper this series, and then it's going to come out, and then it's not even going to help? It's possible, you know. FightingFrog may just be able to overcome it anyway, but here we go. FightingFrog is pushing up the ramp. He's going across the map. He has been spotted by SoulSpirit. I believe FightingFrog hasn't noticed those Vipers yet. He hasn't gotten vision of them as SoulSpirit is going across the map, and he's catching FightingFrog out of position. FightingFrog in the middle of nowhere right now. He's going for a Skytoss transition. We have 2 more Stargates on the way, as well as +1 range. But before that happens, here we go. FightingFrog is coming in from behind. The Lurkers have already sieged up. A couple of Hydras are being caught out here, but in come the Vipers. Up. Oh god, is this going to be enough? We have a yoink on 1 Disruptor, on the 2nd Disruptor as well. Storms are going to blanket everything, but despite that, the Lurkers are able to clean up the ground army. Yoinks and Blinding Clouds. The Vipers are able to support the army, and we take a fight. We clean everything up. GG gets called, and SoulSpirit fights back. Oh. I was so stressed out. GG. Ay. We're not going to get another 3-0 here. SoulSpirit hitting a very crisp timing, or I say crisp timing. He maxed out, he rushed into Hive, he got out his spellcasters, and he caught his opponent out of position. He was able to wedge himself in between the natural and the 3rd. His Lurkers were in a great position. Yeah, he was able to take a great fight as a result. We have a series. Let's go. I was so worried that it was going to be another 3-0. I couldn't, my Zerg heart couldn't take it anymore. Couldn't take it, Papi. Couldn't take it. But we are going to be getting into this. Game number 4. SoulSpirit is fighting back, and he's going to have to fight back even more here on Ancient Cistern. Here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ancient Cistern. We have the player currently still leading this series, but now 2-1, dropping a map. We have the Swedish Protoss player representing Team Little Fairy. It is FightingFrog. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have his opponent, the French Zerg player, putting a point on the board, fighting back in that last game, representing Berserker Esports. It is SoulSpirit. Oh, not soul or spirit, but a combination of the two. Oh boy, and yeah, I'm pretty excited. I was kind of worried. I was theorizing in my mind as to what was happening in those first two games, and I feel like it just, I think it's just overconfidence. I think SoulSpirit clearly is aware of and is capable of maneuvering and utilizing Vipers. I think the first two games, he was feeling like he was ahead because he was, and he was feeling like he was winning the game because he was. And he probably didn't think it was necessary. He probably didn't think he needed Vipers, and he could just roll over his opponent anyway. But SoulSpirit has since been humbled after the first two games. I feel like he has since, you know, put some respect on the name of his opponent, and now is looking to refine his army even more in that last game, going for those Vipers faster than he ever has. And that really was the way to end out that game. And now I'm excited about game number 4, because now we see that SoulSpirit is aware that his opponent is very tenacious, and he can be very defensive, and he can be difficult to break on lair tech. So going for a later game, I favor SoulSpirit. I favor his ability to get map control and to drone up and to tech up as well. I do think that Ancient Cistern is a good map for him. Meanwhile, the other thing to bear in mind is that FightingFrog was doing something last game. He was transitioning. He was trying to get into Skytoss. Before the game ended, there were 2 Stargates, there was a fleet beacon, there was +1 air attack on the way. He was willing to transition into carriers and into Skytoss, and Ancient Cistern is a good map for that. It's very large, there's a lot of bases, it can be very defensible as well. A Protoss player can definitely turtle and survive long enough to get to that point. And FightingFrog did just show us that he's willing to do that. That he's willing to not just stay on ground toss if he doesn't need to. So that's another scary prospect here, is if FightingFrog is able to take to the skies, and if SoulSpirit isn't able to catch him and catch that transition before it's too late. Oh boy. So yeah, this series has really opened up. Oh. Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. Alright, well, just like we've seen every single game, hatch gas pool from our Zerg, third base is on time, no cheesy and aggressive opener. SoulSpirit, again, he's not really a cheesy kind of player. He's not really one to necessarily go for too many different kinds of all-ins, and Ancient Cistern isn't really a good map for all-ins either, so again, just standard economic opener from our Zerg. Meanwhile, from the side of our Protoss, we do see another Stargate opener. We do see an Oracle first as well. First Oracle is rushing across the map, and we have a second Oracle behind this. So this is looking very similar to game 1. This is very standard setup, very standard play from FightingFrog, which is important to take note of because he has been crazy with some Phoenixes recently. Like he's been wild with his builds. As we have that follow-up Twilight Council on the way as well, we should soon be seeing a Forge for +1 to get into those upgrades, and the 2 Oracles are making their way across the map to look to find some economic damage. The main base, there are 2 Queens, no Spores, bear that in mind, but 2 Queens are more than enough to push these Oracles away. As for now, they haven't really been able to do any damage. The third base, though, as all this is happening, is getting up and running, should be getting saturated shortly. Stalker's already being warped in. I'm a little bit curious as to the timing of the Forge, though. We don't have one at all, which is a little bit peculiar. Yeah, without that Forge, FightingFrog is going to have a little bit of trouble as the game goes on a little bit longer. He's going to be falling behind a little bit in those upgrades. I wonder if it's because... Is he going to go for like a gateway explosion? I'm really curious if this is intentional. It has to be intentional from FightingFrog. I'd like to think that he is good enough to make that distinction. As a robot is being thrown down, we do see a couple of stalkers moving out across the map here at a really awkward timing. There we go, to catch up in those upgrades. This makes a little bit more sense. We don't just see one forge, we see two forges at the same time. Meanwhile, the stalkers are applying a little bit of pressure here. Ooh, and we are punishing SoulSpirit for not having too many units. A lot of these queens, or maybe one of these queens is going to be going down. Ooh, it does barely get picked up. And FightingFrog is about to snowball. Another queen is going to be caught out of position here. We have 20 lings on the way, and that will be enough to defend. But before that happens, FightingFrog is looking to get another queen. Again, has to be careful to overextend. We do have blink, and we do blink away to the safety of these oracles. Again, this is a great way to force units out of the Zerg player, get fully saturated, and be left completely alone back at home. FightingFrog isn't going all in by any means. He's just, again, trying to make SoulSpirit as uncomfortable as possible. Dealing damage inadvertently. I don't think we want to commit here. The Lings do go for a bit of a surround, but we have Blink and we have the Oracles to support. Oh, a lot of Lings go down. Fourth base has been scouted. And SoulSpirit, we're cutting drones. We have droned up to 66, which is a pretty solid drone count, don't get me wrong, but it looks like SoulSpirit is going to be hitting a very strong and powerful Roach Ling timing with +1 range. Oh boy. Yep, we have 3 more Overlords on the way. We're going to be looking to see SoulSpirit max out here with this. And this is going to hit like a truck. This is gonna hurt once it does connect. We do see FightingFrog with very limited map vision. He has 2 oracles, but that's all he has. Oh, and it looks like he barely catches the edge of that Roach army, but it looks like he hasn't noticed. The Roaches are powering through these rocks. Again, SoulSpirit, he's just coming at his opponent with everything he has. Oh, and here we go. An important scout. A late scout, but a scout nonetheless. FightingFrog now knows how much danger he's in. 4th base is under threat. It's fine. We can give up on the 4th base. Meanwhile, at the same time, the main army's hitting the 3rd. Oh, we do have a disruptor on the way. Oh, do have a blink forward as well. These Ravagers are quite exposed, so a couple of them are going to be focused down. The 4th base has been... Oh, it did crumble there to that Roach counterattack. The SoulSpirit has done some damage, but again, he's still not droning, by the way. Oh, go the Miles! Oh, and the Roaches, they keep on pushing. They're looking to break into the natural as well. Novas are going to be going off. Decent connection there from FightingFrog. And he can take this fight. Oh, he goes for the recall. Oh, a really awkward recall. Forced to come back all the way home to protect that natural. In the retreat, we see an Archon getting picked up as well. FightingFrog having a really hard time spinning up his army, and he's losing too much. Oh! A little bit of friendly fire with that Nova as well. And with this Roach army, it looks like this 3rd base is going to be broken. Nice target firing there on that Disruptor as well. It looks like FightingFrog can now focus his army here on the 3rd. He hasn't lost too many workers. He's lost 10, and he can afford to lose 10. Oh, God. Ugh. Once again, a little bit of friendly fire. But it feels like SoulSpirit is running out of steam. The 1-1 kicks in for these Stalkers, and yeah, FightingFrog, he holds on without losing too much. He lost the base and 10 workers, but SoulSpirit was all in, so he doesn't really have too much of an economic advantage. He's down 10 workers. Oh. Again, that push was designed to kill, and I guess that recall back to the natural was good enough here to hold on. I thought that FightingFrog was going to be punished a little bit more. I assumed that there were going to be Ling reinforcements, but no, it's basically pure Roach. Lings would have been able to get across the map a little bit faster. They would have been able to tank for the Roaches, especially against those Stalkers. But yeah, SoulSpirit just wanting to go for the pure Roach approach instead. See a Hive on the way as well as a Hydra Den, so he's going to try and transition into Hydra Lurker. We'll see if he can keep FightingFrog on 2 bases. Sorry, 3 bases. Even 2. Even 2. As the Roaches rock up, and we should be seeing a cancel here. Novas are going to be going off. We get some decent connections. Up! Ooh, that's a kill, not a cancel. Aye. We don't just kill the 4th base, we can focus down both of these disruptors as well. Great trades here for SoulSpirit. It did cost him a lot of roaches, but we want to get rid of these roaches. They don't scale that well into the mid game. Hydras are on the way. Lurker Den as well. SoulSpirit did just lose a lot of supply, so he's a little bit vulnerable right now. Auto production continuing here. FightingFrog still stuck on 3 bases, but if this series has told us anything, it's that FightingFrog, he likes 3 bases. He likes it, pup. He doesn't need a 4th. Here we go. FightingFrog moving out across the map. We only have 1 disruptor. This is crazy. The balls that FightingFrog has to move on to creep with 1 disruptor is actually insane. So he dips his toes in. He doesn't commit. Thankfully, he will back off. Meanwhile, SoulSpirit is going to be sprinkling in a couple of Vipers as well with his main army. SoulSpirit going for a massive counterattack. Once again, he wants to deny the 4th base. But this time, FightingFrog is not too far behind. As we're just going to be zoning away the Roach Ravager. At the same time, we have a massive Ling run by here on the right-hand side. We have plenty to defend, though. We've got some Archons, we have Storm, we have Oracles as well. We should be fine. And both players are looking to max out here. FightingFrog on a heavy ground toss army. But the composition here for FightingFrog is really weird, though. We only have 1 disruptor. We have 4 immortals, which is pretty good. But we mainly have a gateway army more than anything. Well, gateway and immortal, to be fair. This can do well against roaches, but if there are too many lurkers, I do worry here for FightingFrog. Let's see, we go. He's spinning up his army. He's going to be pushing the north and the south at the same time. Oh, the lurkers are in position. Not just the lurkers, the Vipers are getting ready to go for those yoinks. Oh, at the same time, we do have a massive run by here, and this 3rd base is going to be going down. At the same time, we do have a counterattack here at the 3rd of FightingFrog. Who's going to turn around? Oh, SoulSpirit is going to respond here to that army on the right-hand side. It looks like the boys are being pulled, and the Oracles are going to be able to clean that up. Did we just lose some? Okay. I was like, did we just lose some lurkers? No. We just lost some roaches. Lurkers are now coming in. Vipers looking for those joints. The roaches are coming in from behind. The lurkers are not a part of this fight. Oh, here come those storms. And even though we had some yoinks, we only got 1 immortal. And FightingFrog is doing such a great job at just avoiding the lurkers entirely. Again, just skirting the edge of the lurker range. Another immortal is going to be going down. Oh, and it looks like FightingFrog has been able to defend his 3rd. Not just defend his 3rd, but also kill 28 workers. Oh, a massive Zealot run by head towards the 3rd base. Novas! Ooh. Does connect there with the lurkers and the Hydras. And this Zealot run by is getting out of control. There's not really much here to defend. Even the Hydras aren't really ideal against all these charge lots. Oh, as the hatchery still goes down. Oh. And this army is getting distracted, and now here we go. FightingFrog is just pushing through the center of the map. There's nothing here. He can go into the natural. Oh, instead, he just bides his time a little bit longer for some reinforcements. The lurkers have been revealed, and they're being focused down one after the other. SoulSpirit overextending there. He's just lost so many lurkers throughout this game. Another Zealot run back here. GG gets called. SoulSpirit gets pulled apart. And FightingFrog does it. He takes the series 3-1. Wow. GG, well played. I mean, yeah. We went for a 66 drone roach all in, and it didn't quite do what it needed to, unfortunately, for SoulSpirit. He tried to transition from that point, and I felt like the transition was looking pretty good, but he was never quite in position with his lurkers. That's the problem, right? Lurkers, they're a siege unit. They're a very strong defensive unit as well, but they were never where they needed to be. FightingFrog was doing a great job at just attacking wherever the lurkers weren't. You know, whether it's the third, the fourth, the natural, just going wherever he could, and we never hit a large enough lurker count to be able to split up between the bases and have like a group of lurkers towards the north and another group towards the south. We didn't quite get there. So FightingFrog just hitting at the right moments. Likewise, I don't think FightingFrog had a fourth. Just 3 bases. It's all you need. It's all you ever need. And FightingFrog is going to be moving on to the grand finals. GG. GG. Oh my god. And yeah, it is going to be a best of 7 between Nicaract and FightingFrog. I'm honestly really impressed. Like, coming into this, I thought that SoulSpirit was more of the favorite, and again, he was looking really good throughout the entire series. Like, even though it was a 3-1, it was closer than it was on paper. And SoulSpirit had so many advantages, but struggled to really close it out. And again, SoulSpirit, he's the player who has been a part of the group stage of DreamHack Europe before. You know, he's the player that I look to as the favorite, but again, maybe a little bit less, or a little bit more out of practice. You know, he hasn't been as active recently as he used to be, so a little bit rusty around the edges. And yeah, FightingFrog comes out on top, and now we're gonna have a TVP for the grand finals. There we go. Aye, aye, aye. So with that, we are going to be going on a short break, on a 5-minute break. Don't go anywhere. We are going to be running a duct tape. When we return, we will be set up for the grand finals. See you soon. See you soon.